Alright, Algebra 2, I am back on video here for 9.2. I know you probably are thinking, when Mrs. Molliver's gone, why can't we just watch a movie? Well, because that's not the way I roll. We're going to do our videos and stay on pace and not get behind. And so here we go with 9.2, arithmetic sequences. Okay, so arithmetic sequences. Okay, so remember, a sequence is just a list of numbers. Just a list of numbers. And we're going to call these arithmetic because in 9.3 we changed the name to geometric. So arithmetic just basically means that something is added. All right, the arithmetic something is added. The geometric something is multiplied. That's the big idea here. So just think addition when you have arithmetic. They both begin with A. And it's arithmetic, kind of when you're doing add, subtract, multiply, and divide, but it's pronounced arithmetic when it's with sequences. So there you go. Just some little pronunciation differences. Okay, so these can be explicit or recursive, but we typically stay to the explicit types. So there's not a whole lot in this chapter that uses that recursive or use the prior term, except for that just one little section where we talked about it. These are going to be, you're going to memorize these, they're going to be explicit, they're not going to use the previous term. Okay, so here's a little, real world example. We have Miss Susie is saving money for a bicycle, and her grandma gives her $20 to get started, and then Susie's going to put the same amount of money in her piggy bank each week. At the end of the second week, she has 26 bucks. At the end of the third week, she has 32 bucks, so that math makes sense. So, first week, she's got 20 bucks from her sweet grandma, and then Susie does chores or something around the house, I guess. It gets 6 bucks and adds that in, and then 32, and then 38. All right, so notice something is being added. What is being added each week? Plus 6, plus 6, plus 6. Okay, so this type of sequence is called arithmetic. Okay, and that's because there's a common, something's being added. So that means the way we say that mathematically is that there's a common difference. The common difference between these two numbers is 6. The common difference between these two numbers is 6, so on and so forth. Or an amount that's added or subtracted to find the next term. In this case, it was added, 6 was added. So A1 is 1, A2 is going to be 20 plus 6, A3 is going to be 20 plus 6 two more times, plus 6 plus 6. Let's write it like that so you can see. All right, so basically this would be 20 plus 6, no times, right? And then this next one would be 1 time, and this would be the same thing as 20 plus 6 2 times. Okay, so we're going to look at a correlation here between first term, 20 is added 0 times. Second term, 20 is added 1 time. Third term, 20 is added 2 times. So in general, you could say we start with 20, and 6 gets added 1 less than the term. So if this is the 20th term, this would be 19. If this is the 100th term, this would be 99. And we can write that in minus 1. All right, so that's a general formula for Susie's situation. And so we'll answer this in just a second. So in general, the terms in an arithmetic sequence will be of the form. Okay, so any term, any given term will be the first term, 20 bucks from grandma, plus this common difference. In our situation, it was $6, and you add that in 1 less than the term number. So on the 5th term, you would have that common difference times 4. So this is just that first term. This is the common difference. And this is just one less than the term number. Okay, so for Susie's situation here, this was the first term, common difference 1. So here's the general. Now, if the bike costs $200, how long will Susie have to save? Okay, so these term numbers correspond with weeks. So the subscripts these are the weeks. So we're just going to solve. So n here is weeks. So we're just going to solve for n here. So the term we're interested in is this $200. Okay, so at some a to the n, when I plug this n minus 1 in, it's going to be $200. So when you're given the final amount, it plugs in for a to the n. And we're solving for n equals here. We're wondering how many weeks. We're solving for n equals. So we put 220 plus 6 n minus 1. Okay. First thing I'm going to do to unravel this is minus 20. Minus 20. All right. So 180 equals 6 n minus 1. You know, most of you are going to want to distribute here, but now that I see a nice clean division, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the 6. Okay, and so that's going to be 30 equals n minus 1, and then plus 1 plus 1. It will take Susie 31 weeks to have enough money for her bicycle. Okay, and so that would be a, you know, right here, that would be a to the 31 would equal 200. Okay. All right, so here are some types of questions you might encounter in Math Excel. Are the following sequences arithmetic? If so, find the common difference. Well, this is plus 4, plus 4, plus 4. So this is yes, and the common difference is d equal to 4. So common difference, you know, we call D here. This is 3, 6, so that's plus 3, ooh, and then plus 6, and then plus 12, no. So this is times 2, times 2, times 2, so no. Okay, a little bit of foreshadowing, that's going to be geometric. Okay, so this is pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi. So if I add pi here, I get 2 pi. If I add another pi, I get 3 pi. Add another pi, 4 pi, so yes. And this is D equals pi. All right, and then the next one here is going to be, you know, the difference between that one and that one. Just, you know, just really just say 17 over 7 minus 12 over 7. That's 5 over 7, and check them all. Now is 12 over 7 minus 1, which I'm going to change to 7 over 7. That's also 5 over 7. And then 1 minus 2 over 7, which I'm going to change to 7 over 7. 5 over 7, so this is a yes. Okay, it's a minus 5 over 7 each time. So this is a yes, D equals minus 5 over 7. All right. To the bottom here, find the explicit formula for the sequence, then find a to the 20th. All right, so the explicit formula here. So it's real easy. It's pretty much set in stone that it's going to be like this. Okay, so all you have to do is find the first term. Well, that's a no-brainer. And then find the common difference. Okay, so the first term is a no-brainer, and then the common difference. So that went down 2 to negative 4. It went down by negative 6. This went down by negative 6. The common difference is negative 6. So I'm going to change that to plus D to minus 6 and minus 1. And that's it. So all you have to do to come up with the formula is identify the first term right there, and then the common difference. So not so bad. And then find A20. Okay, so that's just 2 minus 6, and n minus 1 is 20 minus 1. So that's 2 minus 6 times 19. Okay? And then you just take your calculator and calculate that out. 9, 5, 6 times 19. I do plus up 114. So I'm running out of room. 2 minus 114, negative 112. Okay? And you also might see this given already multiplied out, and that's fine too. Either one is fine. You might see 2 minus 6n plus 6, and then negative 6n plus 8. I'm fine with either one of those, but MathXL might have this written out, and you have to be able to go from here to here. Okay, the next prompt says a to the 6th is 13th, and a to the 9th is 22. Okay, so remember our needs here. Our needs are to find a to the 1st, which we don't have, and then the common difference, which is going to be sort of tough to find here also. So there's 2 ways to do this. I'm going to show you both ways. I may need another piece of paper. But one way to do this is to use a system of equations, okay? And so we know that a to the 6th, let's see. Actually, just because I wrote so much, I'm going to get another piece of paper, so I'm going to pause the video. Okay, got a new piece of paper. It would be to use a system of equations here. So I know a to the 6th is equal to 13, all right? And I know that a to the 6th equals a to the 1st plus d times 5. All right, and then I know a to the 9th is 22. Okay, and I know a to the 9th is this a to the 1st plus this d. I don't know either one of these, and that's 8. Okay, so I can substitute this in here and just say that 13 is equal to a to the 1st plus 5d, and 22 is equal to a to the 1st plus 8d. Okay, so if I solve these as a system, let's pair these two and just write 13 equals a to the 1st plus 5d, and then 22 equals a to the 1st plus 8d. I can easily use substitution or elimination. So for example, I could just multiply all of this by a negative, and that's totally fair, and get rid of a to the 1st. Okay, so I just multiplied this equation by negative 1. And that's totally fair because I'm doing that to both sides. And then these cancel. Okay, so we get that we're going to be able to solve this. We're going to get 3d over here, so we'll be solving for d. And then 22 minus 13 is 9. So our common difference is 3. And then with the system, you just go back and resub that into either one, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, either one, whichever one you like the best. I'll just take 22 equals a to the 1st plus 8d. 22 equals a to the 1st plus 8 times 3. 22 equals a to the 1st plus 24, minus 24, minus 24, and there you go. All right, so now I can write my formula over here. Okay, so my formula will be a to the n equals negative 2 plus this common difference of 3 and minus 1. Or if you have it multiplied out, it would be a to the n equals 3n minus 5. So this is it, and then this is it simplified. Okay, so that's method 1. Sorry, there's not a lot of room on the notes. Method 2 is kind of called common sense method, but it's also another word that brings us to the bottom. So this is a system. And this is using a kind of common sense, but it's something called the geometric mean. And that leads us to the bottom of the page anyway. Okay, so method 2 would be to take this a to the 6 is 13, and this a to the, a to the 9th is 22. Okay, so you would say, well, the 6th term comma, 7th term, comma, 8th term, comma, 9th term. All right? And so this is 13, and this is 22. Okay, so 13 plus some d, you know, it could be plus or minus, plus some d got me to the 7th term, and then add another d got me to the 8th, and then add another d, and it got me to the 22. So 13 plus d to the 7th term, plus d to the 8th term, plus d to the 9th term must equal 22. So this is 13 plus 3d equals 22. 3d equals minus 13 minus 13. 3d equals 9. D is equal to 3. Okay? And so then we're going to use that in our general formula. So that's step 1 here. Step 2 would be to go to our general formula. A to the n is equal to, we don't know our first term. I mean, you could back up. You know, you could use your common sense and just back up. 5th, 4th, etc. But let's just use, you know, algebra instead. You could use your common sense and back up. But we know that a to the n is equal to a to the first plus d n minus 1. Okay? And so I know a to the n is a to the first. We know this is 3. Still seems like we have way too many variables. But we have a data point. We actually have 2 data points that we can plug in for a to the n. We know what it equals to, and that n minus 1. So here we go again. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Which one do you like best, right? So let's just do a to the 6. So we know a to the 6 has to be a to the first plus 3 to the 6 minus 1. And we know what a to the 6 equals. It equals 13. All right? And so there you go. 13 equals a 1 plus 15 minus 15 minus 15, negative 2 is our first. Okay? And so that leads us to the same conclusion as I have here. And those are your 2 formulas. All right. Whew. Okay, so that leads us to the bottom of the page for the definition of arithmetic mean. All right. So, oh, sorry, geometric mean, sorry. But we usually, sorry, this was arithmetic mean. I got ahead of myself. We're in the arithmetic, not the geometric mean. Sorry. Okay, arithmetic mean. Okay, so definition of an arithmetic mean. It's the middle term or terms between 2 given terms in an arithmetic sequence. Okay, so find the arithmetic mean between 7.8 and 3.6. So 7.8 blank 3.6. So it's arithmetic, so something got added to 7.8, and then whatever that is, D got added to that to get to 3.6. So you just write a little equation. 7.8 plus D has to equal 3.6. Okay, so 2D plus 7.8 has to equal 3.6, minus 7.8 minus 7.8. 2D has to equal 2 point, what's that come out to be? 7, let's just get a calculator. Oops. 3.6 minus 7.8 minus 4.2. And then divide by 2. Where should I go here? D is equal to negative 2.1. Okay, my phone's ringing. And so the difference between these two is going to be 7.8 plus minus 2.1, right? And you're going to get 5.6. So this little blank here would be 5.6. Okay, so this is all of this work. Okay, I'm going to pause the video and see who called me real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. It's not an emergency at all. All right, find 2 arithmetic means between 26 and 35. Almost done, you guys. So just, I would recommend drawing it out just so you don't miss, you know, what the multiplication, you know, the coefficient of D here. So this is what we're doing. This is 26 plus D plus D plus D. Okay? So 26, and how many D's? To find 2 spots, we're going to need 3 D's, right? So that's kind of how you could remember that. So 26 plus 3D has to equal 35. This one's better, no decimals. So 3D here equals 35 minus 26. Can you guys see? Yes. 3D equals 9. D equals 3. And so the next two numbers, the two blanks, would be 26 plus 3, which is 29, and then 29 plus 3, which is 2. So in those two blanks would be 29 and 32. Okay, so there you go. There's 9.2. Enjoy your Edpuzzle, and I will see you guys when I get back from Georgia, the good old South, visiting my son. Okay, have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.